Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. While I'm waiting for my new ignition system to arrive, I'm going to do a few odd jobs that I needed to do before, and I also need to do before I can actually get this thing back on the road and running again. So first thing I'm going to do is take the starter motor off and find out what the problem is with that noise. You probably heard that at the end of the last video. I think the bendix is stuck or not withdrawing properly, so that's the first thing to do. And then I'm probably going to do the add that brake servo off and see if I can get that to work as well. Right, as with everything Lotus, this is very awkward getting this starter motor out, and stupidly I've managed to take out an engine or a gearbox to engine bolt and miss the starter motor bolt. And we can see that in the video. Anyway, I'm going to struggle on a bit and get this out. Well, that's suspected. Look, bendix is completely stuck out. There's no movement, nothing's going on in there, so I need to get this on the bench and see if I can free that off. Well, the other thing is this is as dry as a bone. There's no sort of lubrication on that. I don't know whether it's supposed to be. I know you're not supposed to lightly lubricate them because you don't want shit and corruption sticking to them, but that is really dry but not corroded. And it doesn't look like this starter motor has done a lot of work really. It's supposed to be a genuine Lucas one. Whether it is or not, don't know. Maybe it's a refurb. Well, I cleaned it all up. There was actually quite a lot of oil on it. There's oil all over here, and all this was all oily. So I've cleaned it out with petrol, and then I've lubricated it with a dry lubricant. Some of this WD-40 specialist stuff. So give that a try and see whether that works. Anyway, it seems to be moving a lot more freely now, and hopefully it won't jam up when it's on the car. Here's a picture of what it was like before compared to what it is now. Right, that's the starter motor back on. So I'll give that a go in a minute and see whether it's improved it. But while I'm under here, I've noticed another couple of jobs to add to the list. The exhaust is obviously leaking there. I've got those Michelor clamps around it which aren't very good at clamping, so I probably need to change those, and it probably needs some fire gum or something around them as well. And the other thing, the problem I've got with the exhaust is down the end there. You see these sort of angular dangle on that back box. It's quite low, and it means that the downpipe there is pretty low at the elbow. I need to do something about that, but that's going to be pretty serious. It'll probably involve cutting the tube out of the silencer and then welding it back on at a different angle. Anyway, those are jobs for the future. Here's another job I want to do. This trim's all coming out here. This is pulled out. You can see there, it's pulled out of that hole there, but I want to get all this tidied up, so I'm going to do that now. So the plan is to drill out the wood of here and put in a raw plug and see if that will hold it all. Well, that's it back in. That seems to have gone quite well. Now I want to have a look at this servo, because the brakes are jamming on, and I think it's probably something to do with a problem within the servo. Maybe one of the pistons is stuck or whatever. So I've taken the side cover off, and you can see there's a toggle here. You see that? Now that controls the air release, or the brake in the vacuum. Now it's showing it's actually in the correct position, so I don't think it's that piston, the top piston, jammed, because if it was, this would be more down this side and it'd be up that side. Let me just show you the diagrams. Right, there's the two sort of diagrams. This one shows the brakes held on, and this is the brake release. So the car at the moment is stationary or static, and the pedal's not being depressed. There's vacuum in there because the lights are still down, so it should be in that position. As you can see, this little toggle bar, which acts in that piston, is down, so it's up on the side nearest to the vacuum chamber, and down on the vent side, and that's how it is on my car. So I don't think it's that top piston jammed. What it may be is this alignment of this plunger here on this main cylinder. So I think I'll whip the master cylinder off, the servo off, and see if I can see anything inside, and perhaps just realign all this. Well, that's interesting, because that is under pressure there. So whether it isn't released, something is jammed. Still is jammed, I don't know. Well, you probably saw me put these bleed nipples in there just to stop the fluid leaking out whilst I took it off the car. I'm going to have to take these out now, and this is going to pee stuff everywhere, but I can't really do any sort of tests on it, and I'm going to take it apart anyway, so it's going to have to come out sometime. So let's quickly do that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to release this spring. There's a spring here which holds that down in the sort of normal rest position, and see if I can then move that's like a little T-piece in there, and see if I can move the piston up and down inside before I take the whole thing apart. But I can't move that with these holding the pressure in there. So right. That's the spring out. So let's spring out. So here's one of these sort of lever springs, and these are like little poppet valves. Right, I'm going to take the valves out, I think, because I can't get this. I can't remember how this comes out. You have to put something long and thin down there. Let me do that. Let's get a screwdriver so I can prise that down inside there. Actually, I can see that it's not actually centered up down there. Maybe it's just, this is stuck. Oh no, it moved easy enough. Hear that? It's moving. Well, that's good news, because I think I was a bit concerned that was stuck, because that's a bit of a bugger to get out of here. You've probably seen my other video where I took this thing apart and rebuilt it, but getting it apart was not easy. Yep, that seems to be moving freely enough. Not much pressure. Let me get the camera and see if I can show you the actual. Not sure you can see down in there. Right, let's get a torch. See where that piston. So that's it with the forward position. And if I put this in and then move it backwards. There you go, see it's in a different position now. Right, that's good. So I'll put this back together again. It's supposed to be forward, like that. So I'll put the spring in there, and then this bridge piece goes there. Take this vent off while I'm at it. It's just going to get in the way. So the next thing to do is to take this apart so that I can see whether the other plunger, the diaphragm with a plunger on it, whether any of that's sticking or misaligned. But these are a bit of a bugger to get back on again, and I think you're supposed to put some sort of seal around them. I can't remember whether I put anything around this. I think I put some silicone around this last time I took it apart. Oopsie daisy. Well, that's a good sign. It wasn't stuck. Ooh. There's a bit of fluid in there. Look. It's not good. Shouldn't be fluid in here. That doesn't look, that's all a bit not fitting on there, but it's all creased up. Clean some of this out. Yeah, that's not good, is it? Look at that. It feels a bit gritty and horrid, that. This is a new diaphragm. I had a rebuild kit for this, but it's a bit distorted. Maybe I've pinched it as I've put it back together again last time. No, see, there's one. There's a non-return valve in there, which you probably can't see, but that's on the vacuum, so that's probably what's stopping it going back down with the diaphragms in it. So there's the non-return valve I was talking about. So what I'm going to do is loosen these off and then put this back in and then move it up and down a couple of times and see if it improves the alignment, although that doesn't feel too bad. Let's do these up. So they're just sort of finger tight. Don't think that's going to do anything for the alignment at all anyway, so maybe it's just that diaphragm sticking or jamming this. I think I'll take this off and have a look underneath, see if I can see anything there. Well, I've taken this off, and it looks like it's leaking down the back of the this pressure vessel. So whether something's going on in here that I don't know about, and there's fluid here. Well, let's go a bit deeper. Let's take this out and have a look. Oh, bugger. Right, that's a pain, because there's a little ball bearing thingy and it's just pinged out and gone somewhere. Right, after much groping around on the floor, I eventually found the little ball bearing thingy that goes in there. And I've inspected all these bits and they all look pretty good. Yeah, this was a new seal. So I think, looking at the actual body, it was a bit rough in here, so I've actually smoothed that off with some 1200 wet and dry, just polished it a bit, but yeah, really was nothing in there. This fits over there. Now really the only places that the fluid can leak out from are either there, between this shaft and that seal, or around the edge of here, which goes in there. But looking at the diagram, you know, that seal doesn't really move. So once it's in there, it just sits stationary. So it's a bit odd, but the outer edge doesn't really move, and then you've got the piston going up and down of the servo plunger going up and down through it. A bit strange, because there's a shoulder. You can see there's a shoulder there. The shoulder's in there, so it can't move any further than that. So I think it's just supposed to sit stationary or float up and down a little bit. Bit weird. Anyway, I'm going to put it back together again. Fingers crossed it works. Right, let's put this back together again now. So first thing is, I will put a bit of brake fluid in here. Although I'm going to put some brake grease around this seal when I put that in, but I want to get this well lubricated. then there's a bit of a juggling act. You've got to get this in, and this little ball bearing, there we go. Then it's that way round. So let's put that in first, see what happens. Actually, I'm going to take this out of here because I don't want that bearing to drop out, so let's use gravity to our advantage. Well, that's in. As you saw before, this is very willing to pop out and go everywhere, like that. Well, I want to put some brake grease in here around this. How am I going to hold that in? Perhaps I'm not. Let's let it out. And then we've got a smidgen around here. I'm going to take this out again. Right, some more. Attempt number 2. Well, that's all in there. I need something to wipe this with. Let's wipe some of that off, and then that goes in on top, and hope it doesn't pop out again. Let's put it back in here. Now this needs to have brake grease on it as well. That's what the book of words says, put brake grease on it. Right, that moves up and down freely. Okay. Next is this. And I'll just do this up finger tight, these bolts, until I've got the diaphragm on and the top on, and then I can just make sure that it's lined. The centre piston is aligned with the piston in the bore of the actual body of the servo unit. Put it in again and just see if it looks. Yeah, it looks pretty centered. Well, I've been having another closer look at this diaphragm before I put it back on, and as you can see, it's pretty distorted. Maybe that's the problem. It's not actually collapsing down properly. I'm not quite sure why it's like that. Maybe I got it trapped when I assembled the diaphragm last time, whether I got it trapped in the clamps and it's caused the sort of to bind and stick on. I don't know. It's a bit tragic, really. I don't know quite what I'm going to do to get that out. There's a massive crease there. I've got the old one. Go and get that. Oh, there's the old one. As you can see, apart from being a bit discoloured with a bit of rust, it's not anything like as deformed. Right, I think what I'm going to try and do is see if I can straighten it. If I put a bit of heat on this, maybe put in some hot water and stuff, see if I can get it to relax and ease up. If not, I'm going to put the old one back on. It's pretty good. It needs cleaning up a bit more, but it's hasn't any holes in it or anything. It feels reasonably flexible, just a bit rusty. Well, I put this in hot water and it has relaxed a bit. I have managed to get some of the creases out, but I've been fiddling around trying to see whether I can get this to work well in here or not. And if you see, if I put that in on its own, you push it down, it comes up quite easily on its own. Now if you put the diaphragm on, and put it in, I use this because this sort of replicates the proper assembly, and then hold it down. Let me get the camera. You can see it's like it's rucked up here. It's still pretty distorted, and that's holding it down. So I'm a bit concerned about that. But if I let this go, if I hold the edges, I know it's not quite right because you'd have this cover on it, and the cover's got it sort of spreads the load a bit more. It's very hard to hold the edge of this. But you see, when I let it go, it doesn't really want to come up. So it comes up so far and then stops. Whether that's enough or not, I don't know. I guess it would take the pressure off. Anyway, the other thing I've done in this fiddling around with this, I've managed to put a hole in this diaphragm. So this is now toast. I'll find it now. There. See that? That's my fault. I was fiddling around with this, trying to tuck it down the sides a bit with there's a piece of wood, but not sharp bit of wood. Anyway, it's just made a little hole in it. So this is absolute junk now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the old one, which I've cleaned up. It's got a few rust stains on it still, but that's not too bad. But it is still very flexible, as flexible as this, I think. Maybe not quite. Anyway, if you put that on here and do the same test, it's not much different. So anyway, I'm going to put all this back together again with this old diaphragm in it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, I'll have to go and get another diaphragm, or perhaps another overhaul kit and start again, or even buy a exchange servo unit. Anyway, so let's get this back together again. Right, the first thing to do is just do these bolts up sort of finger tight, so this still moves a bit. It's a bit tight. And we'll put this in. Push that down. And then carefully lift this off. I'm not sure it really needs to be centered. In the instructions, not for this model, this is a Mark IIB, but for the Mark IIA, it says you've got to center this up. But I think they have a leather seal or something that needs to be centered. Right, that's that done. Just tighten those up. Should be tight enough. Right, now to reassemble it. So spring's got to go in there. This goes on there. Goes in the hole. That has to go on top, and then I've got to get this lined up in the right place so that it, where's it gone? Where's the pipe? There it is. So that has to line up with there, so that's about there. Then I'll put these clamps on. Found this works pretty well, these clamps. Oh, now I need to get the band up. So you need 2 hands. It's really a 2-person job, this. Now, so you can see in the video that these are little pips on the inside, and they have to go either side of the metal of these 2 shells, and that's the tricky bit. And it's also these cutouts. You see these cutouts here, and you've got to get the spacing right, so the pip things are on the flanges of between the cutouts. And there's probably a, if you know what you're doing, there's probably a way of doing this. I think that looks about right. Let's do this up a little bit. And also, the hard thing is making sure they're on the underside, because you can't really see that. So let's do this up a little bit. Well, that's it that side. Whether it's got it the other side, I'll have to see. Just whip this out of the vise and have a look. Yep. If I get the torch, I can probably show you this. Can you see those pips? They're not so good this side. I'll need to do something this side. Right. Well, I'm going to turn the camera off and I'll fiddle around with this and get this done. Right, well that's it done. Take the clamps off. One final check. Yep, they seem to be in there. Leaking brake fluid. Yep, they're all in there. Right, I just need to put this pipe on now. So that goes in there. Ah, look at that, look. This is fouling that. I need to move this round. Bugger. Right, I've moved it round, so it's now on the bottom effectively. So now I can put this pipe back on. Right, there we go. It's all back together again. All I get to do now is get it back on the car. Right, there's the servo back on the car. It's all plumbed up, all back in there. Just need to wait to get the engine running and bleed the brakes, and then I can test it. Well, that's a few jobs off the list. Fingers crossed the servo works, but unfortunately I won't be able to test that until I bled the brakes and got the engine running and the vacuum's working. And to do that I need the new ignition system, which has now arrived, so hopefully I'll be getting that on very soon. But if you want to see that, you have to tune in again next time. Thanks very much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you can, and of course leave me some comments. It's always nice to have some comments and to hear what you guys are up to. And I've had some really useful data and information passed to me about the ignition system in the studio, which I'll also go into a bit more detail next time. Anyway, until then, bye for now.